Hello and welcome to another anime lore and theory video. I'm Shangok, your host, and today I will take a look at what Ainz Ooal Gown was like when he was weak and why he was hunted down by other players. But before we're going to take a closer look at all of this, let me quickly thank my Patreons for supporting this channel and say my thanks to all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. And with that said, let's dive into the topic at hand. Ainz Ooal Gown, the undead overlord, is one of the most overpowered characters in anime, or rather, he is overpowered simply because everyone else is underpowered. The average level in the New World is lower than that among players in Yggdrasil Online, which likely is around level 100, as the endgame, with item collection, creation and base building truly began only after reaching the maximum level. In Yggdrasil Online, leveling was also very easy compared to the New World, especially with later expansions, which among other things introduced the armor of reinforcement, the red Gundam-like armor Ainz Ooal. The last few levels were a bit harder to reach, and furthermore, the game mechanic allowed a character to basically die and lose 5 levels as a way to reset their character build, and thus you could experiment with different builds before optimizing them. In comparison to all of this, the New World was weaker than the players and became even weaker after the 8 Great Kings eradicated any rebellious kingdoms and uncontrollable species, therefore significantly lowering the overall average level in the New World. And fun fact, this doesn't mean that the New World doesn't have the potential to be stronger than players, as seen with creatures like Platinum Dragonlord, who already has eliminated players before, and Deep Darkness Dragonlord, who allegedly defeated a player 300 years ago and acquired his world item that way. And Cure Elim Los Malvar also trained for combat against players. And here's another example of such power gains, even though he couldn't withstand Ainz in the bonus story. But given enough time, he might have eventually become stronger than him. There's also this one wild magic ring, now passed down from Gazef Stronov to climb, and then finally and unintentionally to Ainz Ooal Gown, which increases a warrior's level by 5. So for example, it could allow Cocytus to become the equivalent of a level 105 warrior, as long as he wears the ring. And the same also applies for the New World, so if they have a being of the level of 100, it could reach level 105. And perhaps these effects are stacking, so with 5 digits at each finger, at least normally, you could really become significantly stronger than even, let's say, Ainz Ooal Gown or Touch Me. This means there's a possibility for the New World to actually surpass players, especially because players don't understand that wild magic exists and how to use it, or what even wild magic is at all. However, this is just the perspective we are accustomed to. Ainz Ooal Gown and his overwhelming powerful subordinates conquer one land after another. Nothing can stop them, and even strong characters like Cure Elim Los Malvar, like Zeshi or the Elf King will eventually succumb to the overwhelming might of Ainz Ooal Gown and his NPCs. But there was a time in Yggdrasil Online when Ainz Ooal Gown was on the other end of this dynamic. A time before his involvement with Ainz Ooal Gown's guild, or rather before its founding, or rather even before Nine's own goal, the predecessor organization to Ainz Ooal Gown was even a thing, back when Ainz was a solo player. And because Ainz Ooal Gown had chosen to play as an undead from the beginning, and undead, like all other heteromorphic players, were hunted by humanoid players, he couldn't really level up and was always weak. And by the way, this decision to play as a heteromorph species or archetype wasn't easily reversible. Suzuki Satoru lived in the dystopian world of the year 2138 And one of the dystopic aspects in this world was the total surveillance in the online world and in the game Yggdrasil Online. Everyone was clearly and unequivocally identifiable, and Yggdrasil Online used these mechanics and tools to link players to only one avatar and only one account. There were no alternate accounts or similar things like in, for example, World of Warcraft. This prevented players from cheating and smurfing, and they had to use the game mechanics in Yggdrasil Online to reset their level and change their builds. Of course, they could also go to the cash shop item and improve and modify their characters against real money payments. And again, all of this was tied to a single account, meaning that the decision about who to play, whether as a heteromorph, a beastman, or a humanoid player, wasn't easy to change. Perhaps it could be done somehow like involving a significant sum of real money or a world-class item, but unfortunately we don't know all of the details. And all of this forced the players to form very close bonds with the character and with the specific major species they are playing as. Furthermore, and we have to keep this in mind, Yggdrasil Online was a dive MMORPG, meaning players were placed into the character via VR headset and controlled them through thoughts rather than a controller or keyboard. They experienced the world from the perspective of these characters. This naturally led to a strong connection with the character and consequently longer playtime, resulting in more revenue and profit for the company behind Yggdrasil Online, especially with all of the monetization going on. PvP gameplay, and therefore rivalries and clan wars, were also promoted by imposing specific conditions for level advancement for different classes. For example, some of these conditions involved hunting and subduing heteromorphic players if you play as a humanoid, for example an undead, in order to be able to unlock specific classes and abilities. And the same applied in reverse, of course. However, most players choose to play humanoid characters, such as humans, elves, dwarves, and similar species, because it was easier to identify with humanoid avatars compared to, let's say, a slime, an undead, or goat-like beings. This led to a situation where there were many more humanoid players than heteromorphic players. Consequently, a large number of humanoid players had to hunt a relatively small number of heteromorphic players if they wanted to obtain certain levels and classes. This also fueled an us against them mentality, and heteromorph players were essentially easy targets, as they naturally lost 5 levels after each and every death and game over. And that's why Ainz Ooal Gown was hunted and relatively often defeated at the beginning of this game. And this happened with entire player groups, as seen here. And again, Ainz couldn't level up and stand up to them because he was essentially ambushed by everyone, and he had basically no chance from the start. Then came Touch Me, the world champion at level 100, who critically hit and finished off the entire group with just one single attack. Maybe something like Dimensional Slash, or the attack was just really fancily animated. Subsequently, Touch Me, along with other players, founded Ainz Ooal Gown, the precursor organization to Ainz Ooal Gown. And since many heteromorph players found it challenging, to say the absolute least, to join a guild, including, for example, Buku Buku Shagama. By the way, the name Touch Me is not just ever so slightly suggestive, but also an invitation for opponents to actually try and harm him. Touch Me, being a world champion and an experienced player, was exceptionally skilled in the game Yggdrasil Online, excelling in timing, movement, character build, and abilities, and therefore surpassing almost every other player effortlessly. So the name was also a taunt. But again, since heteromorph players found it challenging to join a guild, it was decided later on that the Great Tomb of Nesric would become a sort of safe haven and would only accept heteromorph players. And the fact that it consisted exclusively of heteromorph players, coupled with being one of the most feared player killer guilds, also earned them a somewhat negative reputation and much disdain. especially by their victims. So to summarize all of this and expand a bit upon the fate of the players that attacked Ainz. The players who initially hunted Ainz Ooal Gown at the beginning of the anime did this because killing undead players unlocked certain character builds for them. And then they were destroyed by Touch Me. But later, they actually tried to raid the Great Tomb of Nezarec. They fought through hordes of undead, only to face all 9 original members of Ainz Ooal Gown and then be defeated once again. So, they didn't even reach the first level of the Great Tomb and were already eliminated. And usually, Ainz handled enemy scouts and reconnaissance guys alone, or at least in tandem with Shed Your Blood Fallen, and larger raid groups were usually allowed into the Great Tomb. However, these or potent player groups had to fight through 5 levels, which weakened them considerably, only to then be attacked and eliminated by the actual guild members themselves on the 6th floor in the amphitheater. They were essentially allowed to pass through the Great Tomb of Nezarec, rather than having to fight their way against every single ounce of Nezarec's strength. So, the truth is that the game was rigged from the start. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to let me know your opinion down in the comment section, and while you type, let me say my special thanks to Ader Daddy Ader, ASK, Bad Guy Ye, Bad Burrito 316, Bezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Dragonlord Placido Saxophone, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with Dead Head, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loftrazor, Merovec, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Okill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Caracos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier, Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss, Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito 27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonagon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.